Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome to all the devotees for this exclusive question-answer session. This is session number 33. I just have one question here. You kindly post your questions on live chat and I will answer them in the next 1 hour. So here's the only question I have right now. Is it like only we become as full-time devotee in temple, we can attain 100% Krishna consciousness and we go back to Vaikuntha? Also, does having material goals kill spiritual growth? So there are two parts of the question. The first part, it is not true that only full-time devotees can become fully Krishna conscious. Anybody who practices Krishna consciousness, whether they are staying outside the temple or staying in the temple, both are eligible to become fully Krishna conscious by following the principles. By chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, by following the instructions of Prabhupada, it is possible for anyone to become Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness doesn't depend on any previous qualification. Of course, one has to have good association of devotees who are seriously practicing Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, maintaining our own practice, maintaining our interest in following all the rules, regulations of Krishna consciousness will be difficult. So, association of serious devotees is stressed very much in the scriptures. And that is a fact. Even in the temple, devotees have to be very cautious to remain focused on practicing Krishna consciousness, on following the rules, regulations, not becoming lax about certain principles, essential basic principles. These are important for everyone, all devotees. Now, regarding material goals, yes, when somebody is staying outside, they may have to work, they may have to have some job, they may have to have some responsibility for earning money, which means that there has to be some serious attempt at doing some proper job or proper work. So there could be some material goals, but these material goals should not be simply for the sake of making a lot of money or trying to achieve some very big material position or trying to acquire a lot of material knowledge. No, that should not be one of the material goals, any of the material goals. So the goal should be ultimately spiritual progress and focused on going back to Godhead at the end of this life. That goal should be very clear. But intermediate material goals are okay, just for the sake of being responsible, taking care of oneself and one's family, necessities or needs, that is required. But it should not come in the way of spiritual progress. Here's another question. Is my understanding correct? Doing philanthropy work leads to entanglement. It is also against the will of the Lord. Now, when we say philanthropy work, it depends on what kind of philanthropy is it. If philanthropy is in the spirit of Krishna consciousness, then that is not going to lead you to entanglement. It's not going to be against the will of the Lord. But independently trying to do some good to somebody, trying to do some charity or trying to do some help or trying to set up some facilities for some deprived section of society. If it is independently done, independently I mean there is no reference to Krishna consciousness at all in such endeavors, then that is just a waste of time. That is totally against the will of the Lord, and it is simply, it will lead to entanglement. Yes. But somebody can have a prasadam distribution program which will be helpful for relieving people's hunger, for helping poor people, deprived sections of society get some proper meals by distributing prasadam. It's a great spiritual activity, and it is simultaneously very much helpful for people who are in need. Both can be served like that. Next question. Why was Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj given the name Babaji? What is the significance of this name Babaji and whom it is given to? Okay. Among devotees of Krishna following this Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, or Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are two kinds of renunciants, two kinds of systems for accepting the renounced order. One is called Sannyas, like I have accepted Sannyas. Sannyas is traditional Varnashrama system where there are 4 stages of spiritual development. Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Brahmachari stage is the student stage. Then Grahastha Ashrama is the householder life. And then after completing householder life, after say 50 or 60 years, one has to accept Vanaprastha. That means one has to actually stop all material responsibilities by handing over properly the responsibilities and duties to the grown-up son or some other guardian of the family members. And then one has to retire from one's job or some business or whatever means of livelihood. One has to stop that and then dedicate completely for devotional service. That's called Vanaprastha. It literally means going to the forest, but now it's not practical to go to the forest. So one may stay at home, still at home also one is simply dedicated for devotional service. And then one accepts sannyas at a later stage. After one has practiced sufficiently, developed detachment from family members and from social obligations, social connections, then one accepts sannyas. So that is one type of renunciation, which is a standard Varnashrama system. Now there is another type of renunciation which is accepted by Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj, Gaur Kishoredas Babaji, Gaur Kishoredas Prabhu. And this type of accepting renunciation is not exactly, it is like sannyas. Sannyas means there are so many rules in terms of the ceremony itself, or the rituals, or the different rules to be followed, etc. Whereas in Babaji system of renunciation, one just takes a vow to completely dedicate oneself for devotional service and not having any other material responsibility towards family or society. completely dedicated for only devotional service, exclusively. And then, not only that, one actually wears a dress like a white dress, only a small piece of cloth covering the lower part of the body, and a upper piece of cloth for just covering the upper portion of the body. So two small pieces of cloth, and then living a very, very simple life in a holy place in the association of devotees like Vrindavan or Mayapur or Jagannath Puri, any holy place, and be completely devoted to following some very, very strict regulated schedule of chanting Hare Krishna mantra japa, performing kirtan, worshipping some deity, or studying the Shastra, hearing and chanting mainly, and centered around different varieties of devotional activities, exclusively doing devotional service. And no other obligation, no other commitment, no material obligations or material relationships, nothing. So it is a life of very great austerity. Babaji means they cut down eating, they cut down sleeping, they cut down all social interaction, and they will be exclusively focused on devotion. Now, what is the difference between, if you ask, what is the difference between Babaji and Sannyasi? Now, Sannyasi, there are 4 stages of sannyas. The beginning stage is called Kutichaka, then there is Bahudaka, then there is Parivrajaka, and there is Paramahamsa. So, sannyas, the renunciation is progressively increased. When they take sannyas immediately, they are not 100% renounced, but they take a vow to lead a life of a renunciant by not having any material obligations or material activities, but exclusively dedicated only for devotional service. But the dress one wears as sannyasi is different. One accepts a sannyas dress which is a saffron colored dress, whereas Babaji accepts a white colored dress. Now Babaji wears just a simple a small cloth covering the bottom and upper garment, whereas a sannyasi has got this kind of a upper piece of garment which is called a neck piece, and then there is a dhoti which is completely covering the lower portion, like that. So these differences are there in dress external, and sannyasi has got a danda, a tridanda actually, 3 rods, which is to remind the sannyasi that he has dedicated his body, mind and words for exclusively the service of Krishna. So dedicating one's body, mind and words. So tridanda. And the tridanda is carried by the sannyasi, which is a symbol that here is a person who is renounced, and such a person is actually, you can approach for any spiritual guidance or spiritual association or spiritual purposes without the sannyasi expecting anything in return. Sannyasi does not expect anything in return for the service he gives in terms of spiritual guidance or spiritual knowledge or spiritual spiritual help. Sannyasi never takes anything in return, never accepts anything. So that is the position of the sannyasi. But a sannyasi begins at the lowest level, Kutichaka, a neophyte sannyasi, you may say, So not fully renounced, but has externally given up all connections, external. But in the heart, still the sannyasi has to mature in terms of cutting off all attachments, material attachments completely, and becoming 100% absorbed, body, mind, and words in Krishna's service only, day and night. That is a Paramahamsa stage. So, sannyas means one progresses from the lowest level, Kuti Chakra, gradually increases the renunciation and makes progress. Whereas a babaji is in the Paramahamsa stage. Who can accept babaji diksha? One who is in the Paramahamsa stage, fully renounced. So that means a babaji, before accepting babaji initiation or babaji order, one should have practiced devotional service to such an extent that through advancement in Krishna consciousness, even before accepting this babaji order, one has actually become detached completely within the heart. Sannyas is not completely detached from the heart yet. But a babaji means, before accepting this babaji order or babaji type of renunciation, one has to be completely detached within the heart also. Externally and internally, one has to be fully detached. And generally, this babaji initiation is given only to those who are very, very advanced and completely renounced. So, for example, Gautishwar Babaji Maharaj, even before he accepted Babaji Diksha, he was fully renounced because he left his home and family when he was very young. Exactly, I don't know the age, but he was very young, say 20 years, 25 years, something like that. And he came to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan he was engaged intensely in chanting and hearing the Hare Krishna mantra and living a very, very, very simple life. In fact, when he came from Vrindavan to Mayapur, Navadvip, his only possessions were 2 sets of beads, one for chanting and one he was wearing on the neck, the Kanti Mala. And he had some, one piece of cloth he was covering himself, and he was having some devotional paraphernalia, which is given by his guru when he took Diksha. He was given by his guru a stamp for stamping the body with the Hare Krishna mantra, and a piece of rope knotted so that on that one can count and chant Hare Krishna. Those kind of paraphernalia and nothing else. He had no other position. Of course, he had 2 books written by Narottam Das Thakur, Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana, 2 compilations of songs glorifying Krishna and Krishna's devotees and acharyas. Devotional songs written by Narottam Das Thakur, previous acharya. So he had those 2 books. That's all his possessions and nothing. So he was very, very renounced even before he accepted Babaji renunciation. And of course, after he accepted, he was as renounced as ever, fully renounced. So that is not to be imitated. That is not to be, it's not a easy thing to follow that kind of vow of renunciation. Next question. Why do devotees pay obeisances sideways instead of in forward direction towards deity? See, when we pay obeisances to the spiritual master, we directly pay obeisances to the spiritual master, like our head at his feet and directly facing him. Whereas when we pay to the deity, we have left side the deity, and we pay sideways like that. That's the way we are taught. That is the system we follow in paying obeisances to the deity of Krishna, Radha Krishna, or Krishna Balaram, or Jagannath, Baldeswara, whatever the deities. And to spiritual master we pay that. That's the system we follow. That's a tradition, and that's the way we do. Next question, what is the meaning of each term? Rishi, Muni, Sant, Yogi, Jnani, Bhakta, are they all the same? Okay. Rishi means a sage who is dedicated for cultivation of knowledge and disseminating that knowledge. Cultivation of knowledge and disseminating knowledge. Spiritual knowledge. Muni means a person who is very, very thoughtful, deep thinking. And a Muni could be a person who thinks deeply about a material subject matter, or a Muni could be one who thinks deeply about a spiritual subject matter. The subject is a choice of the particular person. But there are devotees like Narad Muni. He is very, very thoughtful. He contemplates very deeply, but only about Krishna conscious and devotional subject matter and nothing else. Narad Muni is, as is described in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Sthitadir Muni. Sthitadir Muni, Krishna describes a devotional, devotionally thoughtful person is a Sthitadir Muni, means fixed in Krishna consciousness. The mind is fixed in Krishna consciousness. That is the special thing about a Krishna conscious Muni. There are other Munis who put forward their own philosophy, who analyze in their own way. They are very thoughtful, they are very deep thinkers. Just like, to give an example, there are 6 different philosophies about what is the ultimate reality or truth. Shad Darshana it's called. So one Kapila Muni, he propounds the Sankhya philosophy, which is the atheistic Sankhya. Does not accept God as the source of everything and the ultimate truth. No. Or Krishna or personality of God. No. According to this Kapila Muni, matter is the ultimate reality, or material energy is the ultimate reality. And he analyzes matter in 24 different elements, and he says everything is combination with 24 elements. He's right to the extent that only everything material is a combination of 24 elements. But the spirit soul, living being, is separate from all matter and material elements and material combinations. That he does not know, he does not understand, he is unable to comprehend that. He doesn't accept spiritual guidance of devotees, of saintly persons who are in the line of devotion. He doesn't accept. So he argues, he's got his own philosophy. He refutes, tries to refute devotional understanding like that. So he is an example of a Muni who is not a devotee, who is not fixed in devotional service. He's a materialistic, thoughtful person. Then Santa, strictly speaking, Santa, according to the Brahma Samhita and according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, the 3rd chapter, there is this word used by Krishna, Yajna Shishta Ashinaha Santaha Muchante Sarva Kilbishaihi. Yajna Shishta Ashina Santaha. Santa in general means a saintly person, but specifically in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 13th verse, it means Santa means a devotee. Prabhupada explains this word Santa is used in Brahma Samhita. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hrudayeshu vilokayanti. So here Santa refers to a devotee. What kind of devotee? A devotee who has smeared his eyes with the ointment of love of Krishna, because of which the devotee is always able to see Krishna within his heart. Always. So that is a Santa, a pure devotee of Krishna, is perfected as devotee. Santa. But Santa is also used for any saintly person, any person who has accepted the spiritual practice and is trying to be fixed up on the spiritual path. Sant, saintly person. Yogi specifically refers to, according to the Bhagavad Gita, any transcendentalist who's trying to link up with Krishna or who's already linked up with Krishna through one of the yoga systems, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, like that. So yogi means one who is practicing yoga, you can say is yogi, or one who has practiced yoga and is perfected his yoga practice and reached the perfection of establishing the relationship or the connection of the soul with the Supreme Lord, the soul with the absolute truth, Krishna or Paramatma, the personality of Godhead, like that. So yogi refers to one who's either practicing yoga as given in the authentic scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, or one who is perfected the yoga practice and become established in their relationship with the Supreme Lord. Yogi. Jnani refers to a person who's cultivating knowledge. That's all. Jnani. Now they may be cultivating spiritual knowledge or they may be cultivating material knowledge. So we are not interested in those who cultivate material. We are interested in those who cultivate spiritual. But even spiritual knowledge, one who follows the instructions of the scriptures, such a person will not speculate about what is the absolute truth, will not try to give interpretation to the scriptural statements, will not write his or her own philosophy, philosophical understanding of the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or the Vedas or the Vedanta Sutra, will never do that. Always a genuine devotee or a genuine transcendentalist will always study the scriptures under proper guidance of a expert devotee or an expert transcendentalist who has perfected his knowledge after studying under another expert, like that. So Jnani is a person who speculates about different subject matters. Even if they are in the spiritual line, Jnanis speculate about what is the absolute truth. So they are generally speculators, mental speculators. Then Bhakta. Bhakta refers to a devotee who is either practicing devotional service or perfected the practice and reached the perfection of devotional service. So Bhakta refers to a devotee. Devotee of whom? Devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not a devotee of the demigods. Not a devotee of some powerful person. No. Devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna or Supreme Lord Narayana, Vishnu, like that. The same Supreme Lord in different forms. The Supreme Personality of God. devotee of Supreme Personality of God is called a bhakt. Next question. How were birthdays celebrated in Vedic times? See, in Vedic times, the basic understanding was that birth in the human form of life is a responsibility. It is a responsibility. What is the responsibility? That human form of life gives us an opportunity to understand who am I, to understand who is God, to understand our relationship with God, to study the Vedas under proper guidance, under a proper teacher, qualified and authorized to teach, like that. Whereas nowadays, this birthday celebration has become simply another way of sense gratification. Another way of sense gratification. So sense gratification is simply poisonous. It's poison. And it's called visha, poison. So we should not indulge in sense gratification and thereby become more entangled in this material world and become more and more distance ourselves from Krishna and Krishna consciousness, spiritual life. We should not do that. So in Vedic times, rather than use the word celebration of birthday, they would observe, and that too, the observance is basically centered around seeking the blessings of the Supreme Lord, having got the human form of life, and taking the blessings of elders for younger ones, and becoming more responsible, because one realizes I'm growing old or growing up. I have to become more serious in doing my duties, in accepting spiritual practices, become more serious like that. Next question. In the pastime of Usha and Aniruddha, both met each other before marriage and even united. How to understand that this is not illicit sex? Now, these particular incidents mentioned in the Bhagavatam are extraordinary incidents between very, very powerful or powerfully qualified personalities. Now, Aniruddha is a grandson of Krishna. He is no ordinary person. He is no ordinary person. So, they are all engaged in different activities which are through which they are participating in Krishna's pastimes. That we should remember always. All devotees of Krishna, all associates of Krishna, all family members of Krishna's family when he appeared here, or all Krishna's friends, Krishna's well-wishers, everybody is participating in Krishna Leela. So whatever happens in Krishna Leela, especially with devotees and intimate family members of Krishna, is actually transcendental. Nothing is material. Whereas we, who are not situated in Krishna consciousness yet fully, we are not pure devotees. So we have to be very careful in what activities we perform. And sex is allowed even for devotees or for any a saintly person or any pious person, provided it is meant for bringing forth Krishna conscious children. That's the only purpose of sex, and there's no other purpose. So that one has to be very careful that we don't imitate such associates of Krishna, such family members of Krishna, the devotees, pure devotees of Krishna, don't imitate. So, because they are pure devotees, they are associates of Krishna, they are always situated transcendentally. So, there's no question of illicit sex or any sinful activity they perform, nothing. Whatever they do, they are always conscious of Krishna. So everything is done in a transcendental state of consciousness. That's what they do, whatever they do. Okay. Next question. Because of my previous life, I am listening to Bhagavatam and Ramayana. Am I exhausting my pious credits, and in my next life, is it possible to listen to God's stories? Now, listening to Bhagavatam and Ramayana is not exhausting pious credits. No. No, it is actually going to increase your pious credits. And if you are engaged in such hearing Bhagavatam and Ramayana, then next life you'll become even more, you'll get an even better chance to continue this. Krishna will give you opportunity to continue to hear about Krishna, about God. Yes. It's not exhausting pious credits. It is increasing one's pious credits. Next question. I have a 7-month-old son. I'm not able to chant wrong since my delivery. Kindly guide me. Okay. When different situations in family life, it is difficult to follow the same practice as when you didn't have the situation, didn't have so much additional responsibilities or additional duties. Then you try to chant some rounds. Try to chant some rounds. Or even if you're not able to count and chant, while your tongue is not engaged in some specific talking or specific work, you can keep chanting while you are doing your duties as a mother to a small infant child, while you are bathing the child, while you are yourself taking bath, while you are feeding the child, while you are you keep chanting, you keep singing. For the child, you keep singing Hare Krishna, different tunes, or you play some bhajans or kirtans in your mobile or in your whatever device you have. So all that is also devotional service. Even if you don't count, let's say you have difficulty counting, still whatever chanting you do, it is counted as your devotional service, even though you don't count. To chant say 108 times, 1 round, etc. Still, whatever chanting you do is actually adding to your spiritual credit. You're making spiritual advancement. Instead of simply keeping the tongue idle, you keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You're doing ordinary activities, other duties, you can keep chanting. And hearing kirtans, hearing Hare Krishna kirtans or other Vaishnava bhajans, etc. And somebody can read for you and your child. If somebody else is there, they can read and you can hear. That is possible. And your child will automatically get the benefit. The child may not understand what is being read or what is being sung or what is Hare Krishna mantra, but the vibration falls on the ears of the child is automatically making spiritual advancement. Automatically. So that is the important point to remember, that there are certain strict rules for how to chant, how many times to chant, counting and chanting. But if somebody is not able to do that due to some situation like you have, then do chant without counting. Do chant whenever you can, when you're doing your ordinary activities. Fortunately for us, chanting, there is no restriction of time. It is not that only those who have taken bath can chant. You can chant even when you are not taken your bath. You see, that is a special facility given for us as regards chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So take advantage and do chant and hear as much as possible whenever you can, and try to request somebody else to read and you hear like that. Next question. Can you please throw some light on the 7 chakras in the human system? Actually, it's called Shat Chakra Yoga. 6 chakras, not 7. 6 chakras. So these are different energy centers within the body. Srila Prabhupada describes them as energy centers. And the vital life force is lifted in this Shat Chakra Yoga system from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head to a place called Brahmarandra. There's an opening at the top of the head. Till that, the vital life force is raised by practice of this Hatha Yoga system. The goal of such a yogi is that at the time of death, if the yogi is able to bring the vital life force to the top of the head, then the yogi can quit this body through the opening on the top of the head and can transfer himself or herself to any planet they may desire to go, including Krishna's personal abode. Including that, one can transfer oneself. But it is very difficult to practice in this age of Shat Chakra Yoga. It's very, very austere, and it requires a lot of rules and regulations to be followed. Going to a secluded place, a holy place which is very secluded area, not mixing with anybody else, etc., etc. And one has to be trained in all the details of that from an expert. One has to receive training. So all is not practical. Therefore, what is practical is the Bhakti Yoga system, in which we don't worry about raising the vital life force from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head. We simply purify our consciousness through all the different practices of Bhakti Yoga. Chanting Hare Krishna, hearing the Hare Krishna mantra, hearing Bhagavatam, offering some food to Krishna, picture or deity, and taking prasadam, and worshipping the deity or picture of Krishna, like that. All the simple process of Bhakti Yoga, different types of activities of practice of Krishna consciousness will purify your consciousness, and when your consciousness is completely purified, then you just go back to God. So Krishna will take you back to God. You don't endeavor to do anything to travel. No, Krishna will take you. Next question. Kindly enlighten us, what percentage of one's income should be set aside for contributing towards Krishna's service after one starts earning independently? The Shastric recommendation is to spend 50% of your income for Krishna's service. Now, depending on different situations or circumstances, it may not be possible for a devotee to spend 50% of his or her earning for Krishna's service. So then at least spend some percentage. You may begin by setting aside, let us say, 5%. But you should gradually adjust your life in such a way that you keep on reducing your material requirements and increase the amount you spend for Krishna's service from 5% to 10%, 10% to 20%, 20%, 30%, like that. As much as you can, please increase. Next question. If I want to make money to be both comfortable and donate to Krishna conscious causes generously, is it wrong? Now you see, the endeavor for earning money is very, very entangling in this material world, because the amount of money you can earn is also dependent on your karma. So we don't know what exactly is our karma, how much can we earn, we have no idea. So what we do is, as devotees, we do our duty of taking some job, accepting employment, or doing some business, whatever we may be able to do for earning in an honest way, some money for maintaining ourselves, our family. So that we do our duty, let's say 8 hours or 10 hours somebody works. So in the workplace, when you do responsible work or you work sincerely, you may get promotion, you may get increased salary, you may be able to get a better job. So many things may happen by which your income may increase. And as your income increases, you can donate for Krishna conscious causes more than what you were giving earlier. Now, to be comfortable and to qualify this, it is not wrong to have some basic needs of living a reasonably comfortable life, but excessive endeavor for more and more and more comforts, all available comforts, no, this is not good for spiritual life. It is against Krishna consciousness. One who strives to make the body more and more comfortable will not have any interest in Krishna consciousness, will lose interest in Krishna consciousness. So that's why it is risky and it is entangling. So don't endeavor too much for increasing your income, but at the same time, some basic minimum level of facilities for your living at home and for providing for your family, that is okay. And increasing the donation for Krishna conscious causes means your income has to increase, not by your very, very increased effort, hard work like a donkey. No, not that. It's called prayasa. Prayasa means excessive endeavor for working hard and earning more money. No, don't do that. That affects your Krishna consciousness. You lose energy. You're completely dead tired at the end of the day. You have no energy left for doing any little Krishna conscious practice after finishing your duties in the office or business, coming back home. Should have some energy left for doing some Krishna conscious activity, practice. It's required morning and evening, 2 times we have to do. So therefore, it is not good to work very, very hard simply for the sake of earning money. Next question. How to be humble to family members in assistance as I'm physically dependent, and how to give up quarrels and hypocrisy. Humility means, please understand, what is humility or being humble? It means, Prabhupada explains in the 13th chapter, amanitvam, in being humble. It means not being anxious to receive respect from others. What is humility? Not being anxious to receive respect for oneself from others. So you do your duties, but you don't expect and don't have the desire that others should respect me. It's called amanina, amanitvam. So that is very, very important, that we do our duties and we don't expect any respect from others. The others, their duty to give you respect, they will do so. And you should not object to that. No. You don't object to others giving you respect. If you deserve to, your position in the society, like children should respect parents. Wife should respect husband. Elders should be respected by the youngsters. Teacher is to be respected by the students, like that. So these giving of respect and accepting according to Shastric directions, according to our tradition, according to culture, that should always be there. That should not be stopped or that should not be denied. But within our heart, as a devotee, do not expect any respect from anyone. Within the heart, don't expect any respect. They give, it's okay. If they don't give also, it's okay. That should be your attitude. That should be your attitude. How to give up quarrel and hypocrisy, being physically dependent. Physical dependence does not mean that because you're dependent, people have to always attend to you without any lapse or without any shortcomings. No. You should not be too demanding from the people who are helping you or who are trying to support you because you're physically dependent. But by being satisfied under all circumstances within the heart, Yadruchalava santushto. Krishna says this in the Bhagavatam, the 4th chapter. One who is devotee or one who is a yogi practicing yoga for spiritual advancement should be satisfied under all circumstances. Should be satisfied. Then the quarrel will not arise if somebody is not doing their duty perfectly or properly. You don't become angry. You don't pick quarrel with them like that. So this humility means not being anxious to receive respect from others. Don't have that expectation in the heart. And be satisfied under all situations, circumstances. Next question. Can a soul merge with Brahmajyoti, can get elevated to Krishna aboard by spiritual endeavors? See, merged in Brahmajyoti means the desire of such a person is to become one with God, but there is no possibility of becoming one with God. It's not possible. We are individual spirit soul, and Krishna is an individual, the individual supreme spirit, supreme personality. We are individual persons. So there is always a relationship, and that relationship always exists, but we may become forgetful of the relationship. And we may desire to become one in the Brahma Jyoti, merge into the Brahma Jyoti, to get rid of our existence, our individuality, but it never happens. It never happens. It is not ever possible, because spirit soul is eternal, eternally individual, eternally related or connected with Krishna, like that. But if somebody is having that idea or concept or what kind of some kind of desire or some kind of practice they are doing for that. If they come in contact with a pure devotee and accept the pure devotee's guidance, get attracted to Krishna, get attracted to Krishna consciousness, they can practice Krishna consciousness and elevate themselves to this Krishna support. Yes, possible. Anybody can do it if they accept to follow pure devotional path service or pure devotional service path. They can elevate themselves to Krishna support from any situation, including from having come to the level of trying to merge into the Brahma Jyoti through severe austerities. They can elevate themselves to Krishna support by practicing devotional service. In Srimad-Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 6th Chapter, 11th verse purport, Srila Prabhupada says, demigods are jivas but rich in pious activities with their desire to lord over material energy vanished. However, this appears to be contrary to SB 3.5.51 purport, where demigods are said to be in mixed consciousness, ready to serve Lord, but still with desire to lord over material energy. Kindly kind. Okay. Now, there are various kinds of demigods, various levels of demigods. A demigod is somebody who has got sufficient pious credits to be able to occupy the post of a devata. The post of a devata requires certain qualification. And one is able to occupy such a post after acquiring such qualifications. So that post of the devata is awarded by Krishna. All devatas, their position is awarded by Krishna. They're always under Krishna's control, always in their post as devatas. So some of them, they have this, they are pious by nature, but they also want to lord over others. They want to lord over others. In the position as a devata, they want to enjoy the power that they may get. That is power, more than the human beings. So they want to enjoy that power. So therefore, they are said to be in mixed consciousness. They have a devotion for Krishna, but they also have desire to lord over others. Whereas those who are rich in pious activities and they make advancement in Krishna consciousness as they keep performing pious activities in Krishna Bhakti, they come to a stage where their desire to lord over actually is given up by them. It is given up. No more desire to lord over. So then they do as a duty their position, and as devata, they do their duty. They don't try to lord over others. They do their duty, whatever their duty is, as given by Krishna in that position as a devata. So they are actually free from this desire for lording over such people. It's time up, so I will close now, and the balance questions I will answer the next week, next session of exclusive question answers session next Thursday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.